It's afternoon, June 4th, and we are talking about Tropical Depression Cristobal. It is sitting over Mexico, hasn't moved very much today with winds of just 35 miles an hour. It is not a windstorm, but it is a rainstorm for Mexico. Projections still take it gradually northward late tonight, putting it into the Gulf of Mexico by late on Friday, and then strengthening back to tropical storm status. Here's the projection going to midday Sunday, the end of that forecast cone at this point, touching Louisiana, meaning that the center of the storm could be making landfall, or it could still be a little farther south in the Gulf of Mexico. Beyond Sunday midday, going to Monday midday, inland, potentially Houston, heading toward Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Monroe, Louisiana. That is the forecast cone, and you may notice it's skinnier today than it was yesterday. The reason why, the entire forecast cone is shifting to the north, and what that means is the more uncertain part of the cone simply has gone farther inland, and we'll continue to see it getting narrower and narrower as we get closer to the weekend. Notice by Tuesday, winds 30 miles an hour may be going into Arkansas or Tennessee as a rainstorm. Now, that is the forecast cone, and it gives you the center of the location. Think of that as playing basketball. Now, if you are a good free throw person, sitting at the foul line, throwing to the rim, you're going to get pretty close most of the time. You'll miss a bit, but in general, you're going to be within a small circle. Back up to the three-point line, take those shots again, and now that circle that you miss gets a little bit bigger. Go to the half-court line, and if you're like me, you'll be lucky to hit the backboard. So now your error gets even more, and then if you go to the other free throw line and try to get it in that rim, many of us are just going to totally miss the backboard. So that's how you make the forecast cone. The closer you are to a target, the smaller the circle is, but the farther out you are, the bigger the circle is, and that's the uncertainty with Tropical Depression Cristobal. This system right now, 800 miles from Mobile, Alabama, where I am based at WPMI TV. It is slowly drifting, and just think about this. We've been talking about it for 3 days, and typically a storm over the course of 3 days, it'll move anywhere from 400 to 600 to 800 miles. This storm has not moved, so it's been a lot of talking about it, but it's going to start moving tomorrow. Here's a computer projection showing the heavy rain in yellow and red, the center of the circulation Saturday morning in the central Gulf, strengthening, and notice the heavy rain moves closer to the coast before the center does, and that wind direction will define who and where the greatest storm surge will be, who may get that strongest storm surge. Sunday morning, the center projected off the southeastern tip of Louisiana, but the heaviest rain may be hundreds of miles away, and this is the uncertainty as to the impact of rain or tornado. Storm surge, if you get a more perpendicular wind to the coast versus an easterly wind that kind of glances the coast. And then the way things are looking right now, most computer models still consistent and taking it inland. Now notice from the point I just showed you going into Sunday and Monday, it goes toward the west and northwest. So it's possible it could hit Louisiana and then still take a turn even after hitting it, moving farther to the west. That is just one projection. You've got to keep up with the forecast. Stay tuned to the changes. Rain is certainly going to be an issue in the next 3 days along the northern Gulf Coast. It's not going to be unusually rainy. That takes us through Saturday. But once you talk about Sunday and Monday, then you're talking about these colors in red. That's easily 3 to 4 to maybe 5 inches of rain closer to our coastlines. Less so as you move inland by about 100 miles, where it could just be a couple inches of rain. Just one of the many possibilities with this system. To this point, there are no watches issued. Later tonight or early tomorrow, the National Hurricane Center very likely will issue the watches for the tropical storm, and that's because there's a 48-hour criteria before landfall. The Tropical Storm Watch tells you that you could see winds of 39 to 73 miles an hour in that 48-hour period. It's the time to start preparing, start planning, and if you live in a flood zone, if you are told to evacuate, you've got to start making plans to evacuate. Now, by late Friday, that's when a tropical storm is likely to be issued. Tropical storm warning, meaning you have 36 hours, a day and a half to prepare for the likelihood of a tropical storm. So the watch means it's possible. The warning means it is likely. Stay updated to your forecast. For those of us on the northern Gulf Coast, the next couple of days, just like this, puffy cumulus clouds becoming cumulonimbus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Alan Seals. Stay updated, stay safe.